The MV starts off with this scene that is very reminiscent of old-school RPG Maker games, like for example Yume Nikki, The Witch's House, Mad Father, Ib, Aoni, or newer games like Undertale, Deltarune, or Omori. In this case, I feel like it might be a reference to games like Yume Nikki, because they explore themes like escapism, so what is real and what isn't, and how this trying to get away from reality can actually hurt you. In this case, we can see this half-bird girl without arms. This to me is more so figuratively. It's not literally a girl without arms and a bird face, but more so like the bird boy from Haseul's MV. It is a symbol for something else. Birds are typically a reference to freedom. They can fly anywhere they want to, whenever they want to, but what can a bird do without its wings? It would probably feel trapped and be treated like an outcast by the other birds. The bird face then also being a reference to feeling weird and different from others, underlined by the girl without arms was the laughingstock of the village. In the background, there is this cross symbol that has been used before as a symbol for the virtual angels, but now it's for some reason spiky. Again, might be a reference to the fact that this existence is hurtful, but I can't quite tell. Then we see this, 5 crosses on the ground, and this light being flying in the sky. Let me reach a little bit, but this could mean that this bird girl might be the girl from Virtual Angel that survived. She saw the goddess only after 5 other girls gave their lives away, explaining why these look like gravestones. And then the "don't worry, you will grow beautiful wings" instead of arms at 20 is of course again a reference. To me, this implies that the light being probably makes contracts with the girls. They give something to the light being, and in exchange they get their wish granted. The wish of the girl was to have arms, i.e. to become a normal girl, to fit into the society. But instead the goddess promises her wings, so not making her fit in with the normal human girls, but instead to make her a supernatural being as well, to make her something more than. So somebody who can truly be free and fly away with their wings, because they literally have wings. And this could very well be a reference to the Odd Eyes, since only the Odd Eye Circle members can freely travel through realms, making them the truly free girls out of all of these girls. And also, I might add that the number 20 could also have a meaning to it. In Korea, 20 marks the transition to adulthood. This is also where the coming of age ceremony comes from. You celebrate a person becoming their full adult self, which co-aligns with the person getting the right to vote, drink, and so on. So I don't know if this is important, but I think it's interesting because a lot of teens that feel unwell or unwelcomed in their communities often hear from the grown-ups that they should just wait until they are adults, then everything would get better magically. But for our bird girl, it didn't, and it's the same way for a lot of young unhappy people that grow up to be unhappy adults, feeling kind of tricked by grown-ups because they promised you something that could never come true. The mother left her side after saying those words. Why mother? Well, this could be a symbol for the goddess acting as their creator, acting as though the goddess was the one to create them. Or in a way like a cult, where you would call them mother because they are the leader. Tomato tomato, but this underlines the Virtual Angel MV's ending. The girls that were sacrifices are gone. There are crosses in the sky, and after the girl met the goddess, she is already gone again. Then the picture burns away, like we saw in Birth. So maybe this signifies a change from reality to fiction, or vice versa. This is what happened, and now comes her dream of destruction, and it could also underline her flaming hatred for the villagers. That night in her dream, the girl flew freely over the village, engulfed in flames. This sentence makes it feel passive. It's not she engulfed the village in flames, but the girl flew freely over the village engulfed in flames. And when we look at the picture, it seems like the girl is making it burn by throwing down flames. This kind of, again, underlines what I already said in Birth, that these images and tales are told by someone who can say or show us something untrue or trick us, for example. And also it is interesting how the wings do not connect to the body, but instead they grow out of this ring kind of thing. As though to say that the wings are not a natural part of the girl, but are just added onto her. Now we burn the dream and return to the girl's reality, where she wakes up, now 20 years old, thinking that now her dreams come true. Also notice how this owl guy is already watching over her from afar. Now her reality is burnt again, her wish didn't come true. And maybe through a dream she was able to come in contact with this owl guy. just like we saw the first meetup of Choerry, Kimlip, and Jinsoul through Choerry falling asleep and waking up in Middle-earth again. The owl guy is sitting on the cross symbol that now is not spiky anymore, but has these adornments. So we could read into this as in the beginning these supernatural things seemed dangerous to her, but now she sees it as her way out. Now she worships it, since she now also asks this being for help. Also, the text seems to be intentionally misleading here. This thing, it doesn't really seem like this would be the village's witch, right? So maybe the girl really went to the village's witch, and this being only to us looks like this, while to the bird girl it actually looks like a normal person, like a witch. In a way, just like the bird girl to us looks like a bird girl, but in reality might not even be a girl with a bird head, which fits the whole vibe of this intro, because we also see a bird girl with no arms, so this maybe is the odd version that we see, while the girls and the other people in town only see the real world version of things, so no bird fellas. How can I find my mother and take revenge? And this is said by Heejin. This makes it feel like the girl and the members are connected. We know that through Virtual Angel and Birth, that the girls struggle in the real world. In Burn, they then try to find the strength to fight back against the light being by trying to run away. So now the question arises, what did the girls ask the light being for? Did they want to have wings? And could this metaphorically be a stand-in for the Odd Eyes? Now we switch to this girl, probably one of the Virtual Angel disciples, and she jumps from the rooftop. Choerry looks over her. Figuratively, Choerry in her Virtual Angel form and the other ARTMS Virtual members are the reason why these girls jump in the first place, so it makes sense why she is watching this scene unfold with a serious face. On the other hand, she also might just be a bystander, but I guess she would have mentioned this when she was talking about the 5 girls that went missing, so yeah. A plane flies over her head, and planes generally in the Loonaverse seem to appear quite often in different concepts and contexts, but to me they seem to be a symbol of fate, the butterfly effect, and how there is this force that is watching over you, something that you can't really escape from, just like the plane in a movie like Donnie Darko, for example. The plane there is a real plane, but also a symbol for the butterfly effect that is caused by him surviving the plane crash, and so he has to go back and follow his fate to save the universe. Even in Haseul's MV from back in the days, she is lured to the plane by an invisible force. She meets the bird boy and has no other option but to shoot the crystals at him. So the plane is always there, the crash is something that has to happen, something that is set to happen for the rest of the story to play out. This is also why I think that we come back to this symbol so often. In the X teasers, there was the plane as well, and I think this is again underlining the message of the plane being some sort of symbol for the butterfly effect and the fact that some things are set in stone, they need to happen for the rest to play out, and if they're changed, it causes a butterfly effect that might have some negative outcomes. So it's fate, it's inevitable, and the members can't escape it. But maybe they can. More on this later. Jinsoul in this MV has black and white scenes. Black and white scenes in the past were a symbol of not being able to see oddness around you. It shows the stark contrast of what you are not able to see with human eyes compared to the colorful world of oddness. Now this MV seems to flip a lot of things on its head, and the black and white symbolism seems to be one of those aspects. Jinsoul rises up to the rooftop, where there are the crosses as a symbol for the girls that were lost. Jinsoul takes out her armor that makes her look like Joan of Arc. Quick recap on who Joan of Arc is. She was a teenage peasant girl from France who claimed to be guided by divine visions. She rose to become a military leader and became a symbol of unity during the 100-Year War between France and England. Even though she was just a nobody, her having had this divine input made her win several key battles. Mind you, she had no military training at all. Her courage and faith inspired the soldiers and turned the tides of the war in France's favor. She was captured by the Burgundians. They were allies of the English, and they burned her at the stake because she claimed to have had divine guidance and for wearing men's clothing, which was seen as heretical. What does this have to do with ARTMS though? Well, to me, Joan is a symbol of the struggle against one's fate. She was a peasant girl unable to read, write, and she had everything set up against her. Religious beliefs, social limits, and of course all of this made worse just because she was a girl. She wasn't meant to become this figure, but still did it herself. She made the men around her believe that she was a man sent by God. She changed history and the fate of France by winning battles over people that actually had a lot more knowledge and training than her. Even in her death, she symbolized resilience to unjust fate. She was declared innocent and was made a saint by the Catholic Church after her death. She is a symbol of faith versus authority, free will versus predestined roles, courage to act versus having to watch. She stood up against all odds and became a real fighter for her cause. And in a way, ARTMS and Loona are doing the same, both in their fictional stories as well as in real life. The story of the 12 members that had everything stacked up against them from the beginning, that had to fight really hard to get anywhere, and they still give it their all. The fact that they, through their music, were trying to teach us about self-love and acceptance was something really not that common in K-pop at the time, and girls talking about their struggles and trying to encourage other girls to give it their all is really inspiring. Yeah, they didn't win a war for France, but maybe they helped some of us win the fights that we have in our own minds, with our own selves. And so the symbol of Joan of Arc becomes a symbol of fighting against all odds and maybe being able to come out on top, even though you're just a girl. Being able to inspire others and win even though everything is kind of trying to stop you from doing so. And on this note, I will also shortly talk about why the fact that this group being a Korean group matters a lot in this case as well. In Korea, a lot of girls really feel like they have this predestined path put in front of them. They can't get away from the social standards and ideas other people put onto them, and ultimately it starts to feel like it is you against the world. ARTMS are trying to encourage girls not to give up on themselves and believe in their ability to change something for themselves. It is no wonder that Loona, ARTMS, and now also in a way Triple S songs are played at protests. These are all songs that carry a lot of messages for girls to keep the fight alive and to win against all odds. Girls never die, you know. So while fate is stacked up against the girls, Jinsoul puts on this outfit to say, so what? I will still fight. She is the only one actively fighting back, and the black and white scenes reference her clear view on the world. The other members seem a little lost, like they can't really tell anymore what's real and what's fake. And this might even is because of their odd eyes, like they see half truth and half fake. But Jinsoul, on the other hand, sees things for how they truly are. It is very significant that her scenes are the only scenes that show us fighting back against the light being, and fighting back against the fate that was put onto the members, and it being shown to us in literally black and white scenes. So I feel like the black and white scenes are now basically the opposite as they were before. Before it was you're blind, you can't see oddness, and now it is you shouldn't see as much oddness because the light being controls your odd eye. A year ago, 5 girls went missing without a trace. Now we see a missing note of one of the girls that was featured in the Virtual Angel MV. So we can guess from this that the girls, although they seem unalive to us, were actually never found. These bodies lying on the ground is something we see through oddness, but ordinary eyes cannot see them, maybe. Otherwise, it would be weird why they are missing, because we see their bodies in Virtual Angel. And this is kind of something that seems to be a direct reference to Serial Experiment Lane or the Mandela Catalog. More on this in another video, but TLDR. All of these stories are about somebody vanishing from existence, but existing in another realm, a new different place that you can only reach through electronic devices and you're not able to see as a normal person with normal eyes. Choerry is sitting in front of a TV. When we take a look at the room around her, we see a lot of stuff all over the place, a symbol for her obsession that she has with finding these girls, so much so that she neglects her own life by not tidying up. Some said they were dead or kidnapped, and some said they vanished like dust. They're not missing, they're inside the TV. This scene of Choerry staring at the TV kind of reminds me of the Mandela Catalog and The Intruder, as though if she was only looking at the aesthetic for long enough, she would be able to see something or even find a way inside of the TV. And now this Joan of Arc profile posts about the Club Icarus, and these are the teasers we got through the Instagram page. And in the teasers, there was the concept of the world in between, some place that is not Earth, like a paradise. So it seems like a lot of people found a connection to the virtual world or are still trying to find it, like Choerry does as well. They are obsessed with finding a way out of their reality and to find a place that is truly paradise to them. Also, this TV reminds me of the Love Cherry Motion MV. There we also saw this TV with static. Even then, I thought that this TV static might be a supernatural sign. You know, like in horror movies when a ghost is inside a house and the TV starts to show static. So maybe these are references to oddness. Only girls with odd eyes are able to truly see these odd things. But through electronic devices like the TV, we are able to perceive a little bit of this oddness. And then Choerry saying that they are inside the TV doesn't mean that they are literally inside of this TV, but that they are in this realm in between that we cannot see through our eyes and are not able to enter. Because when the TV static starts to get more intense, she closes her odd eye. Maybe she is seeing something different with her normal eye compared to her odd eye. Like she can't really tell anymore what is real and what is just her imagination. When she opens her eyes again, the room starts to look distorted, and the audio does so too. She closes her eyes, and it looks like it hurts her. Then the headphones she had on fall to the ground, and we switch to Kimlip sitting there. Now let's get this question out of the way. Are the members one person? Yes or no? Similar to my theory for the YYXY video, I think this also just means figuratively that the members are one in the sense that they are girls with similar experiences and feelings. They all go through the same events, wondering where the missing girls went, seeing some weird things in the TV and feeling like something is going wrong, which gives them the feeling of being lost and kind of outcasts. They all find the Club Icarus and feel seen there. They are one in the sense that they are a group of girls we can all relate to in different ways, and they can relate to one another in different ways. And this is also shown through ARTMS splitting into 5 parts. It's one goddess, but she splits herself and her powers into these 5 parts that make up one goddess. The members are the egos of ARTMS, because ARTMS wants to use them as her disciples, as her physical form to be able to go to Earth. Just like the people in the Club Icarus are not all one person, but they are a part of one thing of the Club Icarus. More and more birds are losing their homes in the city, hundreds of them starting to wear wings, as if paying tribute. Something I was theorizing about before the release was if maybe the one girl that was left behind in the Virtual Angel MV was now starting this Club Icarus as a type of tribute to the lost girls, as a way for her to save girls in similar situations from falling for the same trick the light being pulls on them. But I'm not even sure anymore if this is a positive thing or not. More on this later. They wear these wings to remember the ones that fell down, but presumably grow wings and ascended to another realm of existence. Kimlip sits down in her car, watches over them and turns on the radio, again an electronic device that would be able to pick up on supernatural frequencies. She falls asleep when she is awoken by the noise of the radio, and it feels like it lures her to the club, symbolized by the plane flying over her. Again, her following her fate. The light being is watching over all of these things happening, and her fate is set in stone. Her path is shown to her by the plane. Now she only has to follow its lead. And again, we are reminded of the girls that already followed their fate. They fell down, wings that are made of wishes and dreams that started to melt when they needed them the most. Meanwhile, Jinsoul is gearing up. Now she has her armor and takes out one of these crosses that also kind of looks like a sword, but is actually a gun. Interesting visual as well, because it reminds me of the story of Excalibur. To anyone who doesn't know its myth, Excalibur is a legendary sword of King Arthur. It's a symbol of divine kingship, a symbol for the rightful rule of a just king. The legend says that only someone pure of heart and noble in spirit, someone with good intentions, can wield the sword. In the hands of a good person, Excalibur becomes a powerful weapon against evil, and it symbolizes that true power must be guided by virtue. Only someone with the right heart can lead people to a better future, because they fight evil instead of becoming it. So in this case, it again underlines how Jinsoul is our hero in the story. She is the savior we all have been waiting for, the just king that uses her powerful weapon to free us. She also is the one that seems to have built this place of peaceful remembrance of the lost souls. She's the one watching out for them and the girls that could join them in the future. And in a way, she is the one that is taking revenge, the one the light being wasn't able to trick with her promises. And now, this is important to understand why I believe the Club Icarus to be a trick. We see this star thing that was already in both Birth and Virtual Angel hover over the club. Later on, it takes on the form of the light being. And the plane that was a symbol for the fate, the light being put onto these girls, takes on the form of a big crow. Crows, who are signifiers of death. The fate of the girls is literally coming for them, setting the path of death upon them. But they can't see the truth, since they are tricked by the Club Icarus and the light being. they just see a plane instead of this crow thing. You know how a swarm of crows is called? A murder. They are a really bad omen, since they are always near battlefields, cemeteries, places of death generally. They are seen as messengers that work in between worlds. They take spirits to the afterlife. Even if we take into account all of the positive symbolism of crows, this still means that they are warning the people inside of the club not to go to the club, that it is really dangerous for them, but they don't listen, nor can they see the bird. They are unable to see the black and white reality. They are only able to see this colorful club. And now a strange scene in particular, but also something very important. Men dressed in white trick the innocent birds and end up causing them their end. The light being and her disciples, i.e. these men, do not want anyone to be able to see the warning signs, so they need to get rid of them. They have to let the crows disappear. And then the birds falling down, morphing into these people, is a way to show us this effect. It's not that the light being helps the girls to transcend, because just when they start to fly, she takes away their wings, and this is symbolized by them being shot down by the men. Interestingly enough though, even though the men succeeded in doing a lot of evil, they couldn't stop all of them. There are still crows flying by. Again showing us that the resistance, even if it is violently fought against, still exists and will continue to grow. This black and white shot to me also feels like this is trying to tell us that what seems like a nice club where people can come together, in actuality is more like a hunting ground for the light being. In a way just like the men that try to hide behind these white birds, when in actuality they use these to trick the birds and then shoot them. Again we see Kimlip in front of the TV. She closes her eyes and wakes up inside of the TV as Haseul. This is also something that reconnects to the Loonaverse. Sleeping is always a sign of transcendence, or generally transitioning between worlds, between realms, like we see for example in Love Cherry Motion or Sweet Crazy Love. Haseul is caught up in this distorted place and finds what could be the 5 missing girls. Now we hear a distorted, they're neither missing or dead. A big head appears in front of her, likely a symbol for the light being, that is biggest and strongest in her realm, which seems to be this TV realm. They're staying as is. They're just undetected as their form has changed. As we see Haseul and her virtual counterpart, what is interesting to me is that I had this theory that the light being might have needed a physical form to be able to fully be on Earth. But since she couldn't make this body herself, she used the virtual world to trick girls into giving up their own bodies and become part of the digital world, and on the other hand the light being then is able to use their bodies to go to Earth. Thus the girls are trapped, while the light being switches to the other side, now having a body to use to walk around on Earth. And this might be symbolized by the 2 Haseuls holding hands. We have the virtual angels, that are the 5 parts making up the light being. And then we have the real girls, the girls that were on Earth, but just like the 5 girls in Virtual Angel, were tricked by the light being. They gave up their physical form on Earth to transcend, but even though it felt like flying, they actually just fell down. So again, in a way we have 2 sets of members, the virtual angels that make up this one part, which is the light being, and then the 5 ARTMS members on Earth that are just normal girls and make up one entity, which basically just means that they are all part of one group that struggle with similar things. Because in this MV we see these 5 members switch to one another, we see their day-to-day struggle. They don't really fit in, they neglect themselves, and they're kind of obsessed with finding out where this paradise kind of place is that the other 5 girls seem to have ascended to, which then is something that the light being can use to her advantage and trick the girls into giving up their bodies in exchange for them to be able to live in this TV world. Now Heejin wakes up on the other side of the TV with a hand on the other side. She has this pendant in her hand now, a symbol that the digital TV world was actually real and not just a dream or hallucination. Keep in mind that Heejin has long hair here and short hair now. She is adapting to this new version of herself, also seen in her clutching the necklace she got from the TV realm. In a way, to me, this kind of feels like it is a reference to the fact that Heejin is now not alone in this body anymore, but that the light being now entered her body as well. In the beginning, we had this girl that was too shy to confront these girls in front of the club. And now this Heejin has shortened her hair and adapted to their look. And she has on this symbol that seems to be part of the light being symbol. So yeah. Now Heejin sees this girl that is from the missing node, when she suddenly disappears. We switch back to Jinsoul. She monitors the interactions of people on social media. It's likely that she found out about the party taking place because of social media, and now she looks for new posts of people to stay up to date. She looks back at the club and sees the light being now. She is really big, which to me also feels like a sign, like the light being becoming bigger the more people worship her. Hence why Jinsoul's first interaction with the light being showed the light being in a smaller size, because at that time it still wasn't worshipped by anybody. Jinsoul takes aim, and I don't know if it's just me, or does this look like an odd eye without the color? Like this part is lighter than the rest of her eye, and if I were to color this in with blue, doesn't this really look like an odd eye to you? So Jinsoul is able to see the light being and shoot at her. The light being seems to explode into flames, and then there is thunder striking Jinsoul, something that is often used to symbolize God being angry and punishing humankind. Also notice how these little flame bits are in color. This directly leads to my theory of the colorful world being a fake version the light being lets you see. Her lightning is in color, and her flames are in color, while Jinsoul's world is just black and white, in a way showing us that she sees reality. And so of course it would make sense that they wouldn't show her odd eye in color, because right now, even though she sees something odd, she isn't seeing this colorful fake version of reality, but actually is looking through the odd eye to see the real form of the light being. Now she lies there on the ground. Of course, this could mean that she was defeated, but let's remember the dance scene from the ending and the meaning behind the last track on this album, Burn. Although it seems like she was defeated, lying on the ground with burned wings and all, she will pick herself up again and still continue on fighting. Now this bird thing from the beginning sits down on the cross. This could of course connect Jinsoul directly to the girl from the beginning, and then the story would be Jinsoul made a pact with the light being, give me the ability to see oddness. The light being told her to wait, because then she would get her wish granted, but this moment never came. And when she still wasn't able to see color, like the other girls, she made a new pact with this creature. I want to take revenge on Mother, on the light being, no matter what. She got her wish, in a way, but while being able to strike the light being down, she herself was taken down as well. Now the bird comes back to take part of his deal, maybe her soul. That's one way to look at this, but I also had another theory when it comes to this fella. This might just is another form of the light being, or another entity all along, but I think we already saw this guy in Birth. But let's start here. This might be a Inmyeonjo, a Korean mythical being that is half human and half bird. This represents their connection to both the human and the spiritual realms. They can be seen as protectors of the deceased because they bring the souls to the afterlife. They are not necessarily beings that predict fate, like some other depictions of death, but they are observers of fate and take on a role of guidance. If we twist this imagery, like we saw a lot of things being twisted in the ARTMS lore this far, for example the goddess imagery in Virtual Angel with the divine, but it actually being more devilish divine, hence why divine is spelled with an E instead of an I, then this could mean that the being is hiding behind this facade of the Inmyeonjo, of a good guiding force, to mislead people, because they actually take the souls to the TV realm instead of the afterlife. Like spiritual con artists in a way, it could be that this being shows itself as a counterforce to the light being, but actually works together with it, or maybe even as part of it. Like the witch from Snow White, this creature could have many different forms that it takes to trick people. It might be thriving on worship, like we saw the girl in the beginning talk to the bird human to ask for help, so she was tricked into thinking the birdman would help her, but he actually just wanted to use her to become more powerful instead. When it shows up at Jinsoul's side, maybe it's because of the birth that her fate changed. It rewrites the story. The more you follow its path, the more you veer off of your true path. I.e., she wanted to stop the goddess by shooting it, but ended up making the light being even more powerful by splitting her into 5 parts, since this would reconnect to the girl shooting this human face chimera, and then the goddess being split into 5 parts. So this could mean that this is just an explanation of what actually happened in the Birth MV. And then Jinsoul didn't know what would happen, but ultimately became part of the plan of the light being to make herself stronger and to be able to create a human form for herself, which in the end she does seem to be successful in, since we see this devilish version of Heejin at the end. So this thing is a creature that takes on the form of other beings to hide behind them. It misleads people by acting as though it was a divine creature, while actually being evil. And this also explains its kind of scary look, since we are supposed to think of it as evil. All in all, it could be that this inmyeonjo does not protect you, but instead reflects you your fears, regrets, and thrives off of your faith in it. When you're most vulnerable, it shows you the path you want to see, but it tricks you into taking the wrong one, like it did with Jinsoul, who wanted to take revenge, or even the girls in Virtual Angel that wanted to fly high but fell down. Now that she is lying on the rooftop, we get a better look at the crosses. 7 crosses to be exact. 7 people that were lost, that they mourned. But the girls that went missing a year ago were 5, right? Yes, exactly. But we already were missing 7 girls even before Virtual Angel. Our 7 Luna members who are not part of ARTMS. Again, if people tell me to treat ARTMS as its own thing, I'm always like, yeah, right. But why do they constantly refer back to Luna, if not to tell us to look back at the old story and to connect the dots? Icarus' story was already part of the lore. This MV has so many parts that remind me of the Egoist MV as well. I mean, take this scene for example. In Egoist, Hyeju leaves Eden. She defies these divine forces that want her to stay. And at first, this makes her feel like a fallen angel. She feels like she just lost her wings. But what do we learn through her MV and through the Burnt song? That your wings can grow back if you try to get back up again. Hyeju starts to climb up. She eats her fruit, opens her eyes to reality, and accepts herself, truly. She burns her old self, quite literally, because she burns these parts that are reminding us of her time in Eden. And now she stands on top of the roof as a new self, a self that meets Heejin stronger than ever. And just like this, Jinsoul going up to the rooftop and being struck down by the light being isn't truly her end. This is just a setback. She will wake up again and try again. Her wings will also grow back. And this is masterfully underlined by the dance scene. The dance scene starts off with Kimlip standing up. She reaches up to the sky and reaches her arms out like wings before falling back down. Seamless transition to Choerry. She also has these big reaching out moves and points at her eye. This time not her odd eye. This might be a reach. But yeah, it could underline my theory that this time around using your not odd eye is actually showing you the reality of things, because the light being can't manipulate it. Transition to Jinsoul, and this move that also reminds me of the butterfly choreo. Now she falls down, and this is what I mean when I say that the dance scene underlines the story. Jinsoul in this MV is struck down, she lays on the ground, but this is not the end of her story. The music stops and she lays there. But what happens then? Reborn like a phoenix, a new version of herself wakes up. Heejin is getting back up again. She is crawling on the ground, symbolizing that she is still hurting, but is still reaching up towards the sky. She still wants to try again. And this part is interesting because it almost looks like 2 entities struggling to take over control of this body, when we change between Heejin and Haseul, who in the MV was in the TV universe of the light being. What could this mean? And on the reborn like a phoenix wing part, all of the members appear and become part of one. They spread their wings. Also, this might be one of those moments in which I read way too much into things, but the fact that they don't say reborn like a phoenix, but like a phoenix wing, implies that they are part of a phoenix and not the phoenix itself. We got this spoiler on the t-shirt, and I was struggling to make sense of it, but the fact that the goddess is split into 5 parts, and that these 5 are now singing reborn like a phoenix wing, reborn like part of something bigger, heavily implies to me that they are all part of something bigger. And this far in all of the MVs, we haven't seen the members united, only the fake members that are seemingly part of the light being. What if these real versions, just like the YYXY members, need to open their eyes truly and come together as one group to be able to fight back against these gods? I mean, we fly high, the world awakening us. Doesn't this sound like opening your eyes? And only then being able to fly high, so escape from hardships? They are parts of the Phoenix, but need to combine to become their real selves. Maybe these girls, these struggling real-world girls, need to come together. I mean, through this MV we really got to see that they all are struggling with the same things. They become one in this MV through their hardships. Now they need to come together to connect through their strength as well. just like in the dance where they morph to one another, to 5 and then to 1 again. And now to finally get to the ending, we get the Club Icarus with the people partying, and then switch to the virtual angel version of Heejin. I believe that this is now the birth of the virtual angels to the real world. Now that the light being was split into 5 parts through Jinsoul, the virtual angels can take on human forms through the real girls' bodies. So virtual angel Heejin can take over Heejin's body, and so on. The only difference I would make with this is the fact that Jinsoul doesn't really seem to be part of this group, so she probably cannot really be taken over because she didn't visit the TV world. And this is also why we can see the wings strapped to Heejin's body. These are wax wings. It's not a real goddess, but a fake one. These wings are not real. And from what I can tell, it probably ate the people at the party, or at least took them to the alternate universe to take them as power resource or something like that. Because all around it we see clothing, wings and posters. It looks like there was a mass panic, like people tried to get away quickly, but all that's left of them are these ornaments. And this leads me to my prediction that the next comeback might be the fight for their bodies, the fight to get back their autonomy, and fight this being that thrives on their insecurities and fears. Which again also is an interesting theme to talk about when we think of it as a thematical reference to real life. A lot of girls, especially young girls, kind of struggle with themselves. They have these different parts to themselves and are kind of fighting these battles within oneself. And it also would make for a really cool music video, so yeah. But in the end, I have to say that maybe the light being isn't even this evil boss with a master plan that we make her out to be. When it comes to the girl from the beginning that is lacking her wings, I feel like this is not only a reference to the girls in the Club Icarus or the ARTMS members themselves, but also a reference to the light being. If my theory would be correct, then the light being can't exist in the real world without a human body. And at the end of this MV, we see this Heejin with fully formed wings. So to take the reference from the beginning, this could be the light being that now took over Heejin's body. Having wings then is a way to show that it is fully formed. The bird girl from the beginning finally got her wish granted. And not only did it take over Heejin, but in a way the bodies of all the members, like we saw in the Virtual Angel MV, at the end the light being was able to take on the form of these 5 girls. But only through their bodies is she able to really enter Earth. And how did she enter? Well, the members entered the TV world for a short time, so she could have entered their bodies then. And then when Jinsoul was on top of the building, she didn't really end the light being, but instead split her into these 5 parts, like again we saw in Birth. So maybe it was all part of the plan for Jinsoul to shoot her, because the light being wasn't able to split her soul into 5 parts herself. Now she's part of these 5 girls and can take over control of them, but what will she do with this? And then the owl-faced fella showing up in the beginning with the bird girl could also imply that while the light being seems to be at least a dubious being that only thinks about her own goals, it could also very well be that the light being itself was also tricked by this owl guy. Maybe the owl guy made the light being into the light being in the first place. A form with power, sure, but one that doesn't allow her to walk on Earth. Now she has the power to take revenge, but cannot reach the people she wants to take revenge on, you know? I don't know, but it could definitely be the case that they are trying to connect the light being and the ARTMS members in more than one way. And if they went through similar struggles and now end up being betrayed by this owl guy, it could end up in a way where the rebel girls, the light being and the ARTMS members have to defeat this greater evil altogether. They truly have to outgrow their old selves that were out to take revenge and grow to think about the greater good of all people. And this could be a really interesting connection to the real world as well. I generally feel like the story of ARTMS is about the struggles of girls all around the world, not feeling like you can fit into society the way you really are, or even being cast out just because of your differences. Most of us can relate to some of these struggles displayed in the MV, being obsessed with the virtual world because we struggle in the real world, not taking great care of ourselves, trying to find a place where we fit in, only for it to be hijacked. I mean, the situation with the male artist that is supposed to perform at the Club Icarus show is a great real-world example for this. Girls find a place to come together and celebrate ourselves, Just one night where we can truly be proud of being different. And then this man shows up that just doesn't want to wear wings because it is too girly and all girly things are bad. He doesn't want to perform in front of men. Yeah, because ARTMS are women. Truly only men would come to watch them perform, right? It's giving off really disrespectful vibes, and I can guess that this man really didn't get the point of any of this if he says stuff like that. Maybe for one night you're able to embrace a new side to yourself. I mean, the night is literally not about you. Most people wouldn't have cared if you show up with wings or not, because you're not the point of the night. And also, what kind of man are you if a pair of plastic wings can take that away from you? Well, to end this on a positive note, at least the people attending can have a great night together with ARTMS and celebrate themselves. And maybe we will get to see the virtual angels attend as well? Who knows? Love you, Luna. Keep on innovating the music video business for many years to come. And I will see you next time. Bye.